Penguin Audio presents A Rope and a Prayer by David Rohde and Kristen Mulvihill, read by the authors.
Author's note. This is not a story of triumph. Throughout our case, we made numerous mistakes. We wrote this book in the hope of helping readers learn more about Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the American effort there. This book's central narrative is the 7 months when David, Tahir, and Assad were held captive in the tribal areas of Pakistan, and Kristen's effort to bring them home. Woven throughout the narrative are sections of history and analysis that are based on David's 7 years of reporting in Afghanistan and Pakistan since 2001. We also try to explore militancy, faith, and religion's role as a positive and negative force. The second reason we wrote this book is in the hope of helping other kidnapped victims and their families avoid the mistakes we made and survive their captivity. Around the world, the number of kidnappings is steadily rising, but governments have failed to develop a coordinated international response. Most hostages survive, but their panicked families frequently empty bank accounts, sell homes, or go into staggering debt to save the lives of their loved ones. We urge governments to develop a more unified approach to kidnapping. A portion of our earnings from this book will be donated to the Fatah Education Foundation, a nonprofit group that provides educational opportunities to the people of Pakistan's tribal areas, and to Kiva.org, a nonprofit organization that allows people to lend money via the internet to microfinance institutions in developing countries and the United States. We are also working with the Committee to Protect Journalists, a nonprofit press advocacy group, to develop ways to support and assist the families of kidnapped journalists. For 7 months, our family negotiated with the kidnappers, directly and through contractors, regarding a potential ransom. No ransom was paid. While David was in captivity, we believe the only way to keep him and his Afghan colleagues alive and encourage the kidnappers to remain in contact was to appear to be willing to pay for their release. In this book, we discuss Kristen's calls with the kidnappers and the negotiations because they bring home the reality and pressures placed on a kidnapped victim's family. Yet we are not divulging our negotiation strategy or the amounts of money discussed. We believe such disclosures could encourage or complicate future kidnappings. What follows is a good faith effort to reconstruct the period in our lives surrounding David's kidnapping and eventual escape and its aftermath. David was not able to take notes for the 7 months he was in captivity. All descriptions of his experience stem from his memory, supplemented where possible by records kept by Kristen, other family members, and colleagues. Direct quotations from his captors are his recollections of what they said and are based on translations from Pashto, the language they spoke. Kristen's descriptions stem from memory and, where possible, journal entries, emails, transcripts, and other records. Undoubtedly, our recollections are incomplete, altered by the passage of time, and flawed in places. All of the views expressed in this book are solely those of the authors. Any mistakes in the pages that follow are wholly our own. For safety reasons, certain details, information, and names have been withheld.
A Blood Message to Obama, November 9th and 10th, 2008. On a Sunday afternoon, the Kabul Coffee House and Cafe is an island of Western culture in Afghanistan's capital. American and European contractors, aid workers, and consultants sip $4 cafe lattes and cappuccinos. Young English-speaking Afghan waiters dressed in Western clothes serve chicken quesadillas, fried egg sandwiches, and cheeseburgers. I marvel at and dread how much Kabul has changed since I first came to the country to cover the fall of the Taliban 7 years earlier. A city I grew to know well has become more and more unfamiliar. Kabul has boomed economically and modernized to an extent I never dreamed when joyous Afghans gouged out the eyes of dead Taliban militants in 2001. Afghans then yearned for a moderate and modern nation and an end to decades of meddling from neighboring countries. Now, the gulf between the wealthy, westernized pockets of the Afghan capital and the grinding insecurity and endemic corruption that dominate most Afghans' daily lives alarms me. Rivalries between the country's ethnic groups that ebbed after the fall of the Taliban simmer again.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?